Okay, students, this is our chapter number 2. Title of the chapter is Laser Action. Now, please see in the first few sessions or in the first chapter what we have seen. That is what a revising thing I have put here. Right from the beginning, we were talking in terms of N1 and N2. What is N1? N1 is the number of atoms that are found in the ground state, and N2 is the number of atoms that are occupying this second state, or that is the first exact state, that is N2. So this diagram shows you the atoms which are in the energy state E1, that number is N1. Usually this number is very large. Most of the atoms try to remain inside this ground state, that is its energy is E1, and this number is given to be N1 by absorbing certain radiation of some fixed frequency, that is h nu. H nu is the energy, nu is the frequency. If these type of photons are absorbed by these atoms are raised to the new level, or that is the energy level E2, which is separated by this energy distance, and that's how the number of atoms occupying this particular state E2, that number is called as N2. So this is a spontaneous absorption. This is a simple process absorption, where this absorption rate RABS can be calculated by this expression given here. This is the expression that gives you how this particular rate is calculated. This is what RABS, absorption rate, which is given by B12 into rho nu multiplied by N1. That is what we have already discussed. This RABS is directly proportional to the number of atoms found in the first energy state, that is N1. Energy state is E1, number of atoms in that energy state is N1. So this RABS is proportional to N1, as well as this is proportional to the number of photons that are coming in, that is called as photon field or photon density, energy density. So these are the two factors over which this RABS is related or is dependent upon, and therefore writing this coefficient of writing this equality here, I can write this is B12. So this B12 is, this is called as Einstein's coefficient for absorption. We have already seen this. This is called as Einstein's coefficient for absorption. Once this coefficient is known, I can find out RABS or absorption rate for absorption transition is equal to B12 times rho v into N1. That is what I am calling here to be equation 1 for the present chapter. Similarly, there is another process shown in the diagram. That is called as spontaneous emission, wherein this particular atom, excited atom, doesn't remain in this energy state N2 for a longer time. Immediately, without any trigger, on its own, this atom can come to the ground state or down state, and this is called as the spontaneous emission. And in this case also, the amount of energy difference between E2 and E1 that will be emitted as a spontaneous emission radiation. So first process is absorption. So atom goes from ground state to excited state. Second process is spontaneous emission, where atom comes from excited state to ground state, giving out the same radiation which is given by h nu. This is a simple process shown in the diagram. And for such a case, when we go for calculation of this RSP, rate of spontaneous emission, this is given by RSP. It is found to be how many number of atoms found in the excited state N2, that is this proportional only. In this case, we do not require any external trigger. Therefore, factors like this, rho nu, etc., doesn't come in this picture, and therefore this RSP is directly proportional to N2, wherein I can write this another coefficient that is called as A21. So A21 is another Einstein's coefficient for spontaneous emission. So this is Einstein coefficient for spontaneous emission. B12 is the Einstein's coefficient for the spontaneous absorption. So here A21, we are coming from state 2 to state 1. That's why this coefficient is important one, and that's how I write this coefficient as A21 times N2. So RSP is equal to A21 times N2. This is my second relation. Then there is one more relation we have already discussed here in this case. That is called as photon field density or energy density of photon field, which is given by black body radiation, or this is called as Planck's theory of black body radiation. Based upon that, we can calculate this photon density for such type of black body radiation or any other type of radiation. is given by rho nu is equal to 8 pi h. H is Planck's constant, nu is the frequency, mu is another constant there, c is the velocity of light, and this is a factor 1 upon e raised to h nu upon kt minus 1. This is called as the Boltzmann factor, already we have discussed. So this particular expression gives you photon field energy or the energy density by this particular expression. This expression is to be written here in this equation for RABS, and we get the equation for RABS in that particular form. So this is one thing we have discussed in earlier lecture. There is third type of transition, that is called as that is called as the stimulated emission. Now stimulated means we require something external to carry out this type of transition, and therefore another factor comes here, that is again given by rho nu. So this time this coefficient, or this is RST is proportional to rho nu, as well as it is proportional to the number of atoms that are found in excited state. Therefore I am able to write this coefficient, another coefficient, that is B21. So here was B12 and this is now B21. This is Einstein's coefficient for the stimulated emission, and therefore I can write this third equation as RST is equal to B21 times rho nu, that is the photon field density, multiplied by N2, that is the number of atoms in the excited state. So that equation decides you the rate of the spontaneous emission. So these are the three processes: absorption, spontaneous emission, and stimulated emission. These are the three processes which are very essential and important for any laser action. Now for a single atom, this laser action we have seen. Now when we go for a number of such type of radiations we need at a one time, that is called as the large stimulated emission. And beyond that, before that, we have seen one more very important relation, this relationship, that is called as the relationship between the Einstein's coefficient. Now that is B12, B21 and A12 are connected by one simple equation, that is given by equation number 4, and that B12 is equal to B21 usually, and this can be obtained as c cube upon 8 pi h nu cube into mu cube multiplied by E21. So this is Einstein's coefficient, this is also Einstein coefficient, this is also Einstein coefficient. So this equation number 4 is basically an equation between all these type of Einstein's coefficients for three different processes. So earlier we have proved this, we have obtained this in earlier, and in my earlier lecture we have discussed all these things. And usually we have seen one more condition at thermodynamic equilibrium, that means there is a large number of atoms are found in N1 rather than N2. So de-excited states or ground state number of atoms are much more than this number of atoms in the excited state. So usually N2 is found to be much less than N1. So given this situation, how to go for a conditions for, that is called as conditions for large stimulated emission, not consider, this is condition. Okay? I am writing this once again, conditions for large stimulated emission, and that's how we have to go for a description of this as follows. We are going to get one expression, important expression, that is based upon these things what we have seen here. So remember, for any laser action to be there, or laser to be generated, laser radiations to be produced, we must have large number of stimulated emission. So that stimulated emission is said to be the key for such type of large stimulated emissions or large number of radiations. So getting a laser in the good magnitude, we require large number of stimulated emission, and that is the question, that is the problem, how to increase this number of stimulated emission, or how to go for a stimulated emission once this type of condition is achieved, that is called as the population inversion. So for a certain time, lot many number of atoms are raised to the excited state, and by some means we are moving all these atoms from excited state to de-excited state simultaneously at one time, and that is called as the stimulated emission or large stimulated emission, and that is the key for this entire thing. So earlier we can write, that's what number of stimulated emission can be made larger than the other two processes. So out of these three processes, stimulated emission process is to be made to be dominant. This condition is to be achieved, and whenever this is achieved, then and then there is a laser action, and we can have a good source of laser. Otherwise most of the energy is absorbed by this incident, absorbed by the atoms. They go into the excited state. Then number of atoms go from excited state to de-excited state, giving out radiation in all directions, all formats, and that is not a stimulated one. That is a randomized radiation that have no a particular or specular direction, etc. And that's why these radiations are usually common radiations. This is a natural process of absorption and emission of energy by material. This is interaction of light with matter, and that is what usual process. Here in laser action, we need to have much and much more number of stimulated emission. Thereby, whatever number of radiations emitted in this stimulated emission will be now in a particular direction of particular frequency and wavelength, and that all these things are happening at one instant, and therefore a large pulse of this type of laser radiation will be obtained. This is what the requirement of the situation, and we are going to get equation for that. Now there are two such situations. First situation, from earlier equation 1, 2, 3, etc., we can write the ratio of this stimulated transition to spontaneous transition. So both of these emissions we have to get. Stimulated emission is given by this B21 times rho nu, this is nu here, multiplied by N2, and this spontaneous emission is given by simply A212 times N2. So this N2 it gets cancelled, and then therefore one gets R1 is equal to, this is given to be R1, okay, R1 is equal to B21 upon A21 times this rho into nu is there, okay. So that remains there. Now we have to go further. We have to use this rho nu from earlier one of the equations, and therefore using the equation, okay. So using the equation for black body radiation. Are you able to see this, Priyanka? Are you able to see this, what I am writing?
Okay.
Yes. So using the equation for black body radiation, I can write this equation R1 is equal to, so let's write this as it is, B21 upon A21 as it is. This remains same there, that is not changed there. And this expression for this rho nu can be written as black body radiations. It is 8 pi h into nu cube multiplied by mu cube divided by, this is c cube, this is the coefficient there, and multiplied by e raised to, this is h nu upon kt minus 1, where k is Boltzmann's constant, h is Planck's constant, T is the absolute temperature, D is the frequency of that particular radiation. So that is how one gets this expression as shown by this equation number 5. That is what equation for R1. But one more, earlier we have seen, we have Einstein's equation. Which gives you relationship between all these three types of coefficient. Einstein's equation, which was written there, it is B12 is equal to B21, that is equal to, if you remember this in earlier chapter we have done this, it is c cube upon 8 pi h into nu cube multiplied by this is multiplied by mu cube, and it is multiplied by 8 to 1. So this is another important derivation which we have seen in earlier lecture. This is called as the relationship between all these Einstein's coefficient for three processes. Out of that, B12 is spontaneous absorption. We are going from state 1 to state 2. B21 is spontaneous emission, which is given by that is what we are coming from state 2 to state 1. Sorry, this B21 is this stimulated emission, where we are coming from state 2 to state 1. These atoms are coming from excited state to de-excited state or ground state. And A21 is the spontaneous emission. This is the coefficient, Einstein coefficient for spontaneous emission, that means without trigger. These atoms are coming from randomly, they are coming from higher state to lower state, giving out certain types of radiations or the fixed wavelength radiations. And this is what this particular relation helps us in getting this B21 upon A21. So if I go for this calculation, if this B21 upon A21 is obtained, I'll get this, okay. So from this equation, I'll get B21 upon A21 is simply c cube upon this right hand side will be as it is 8 pi h nu cube into mu cube only. So that remains there, and if I replace it here, this B2 upon A21 will be replaced by this. What I will get is this. Therefore, you will get this R1 is equal to, now this R1 is the rate of the stimulated transitions divided by the spontaneous transition. We are getting this ratio, and when we substitute this B21 upon E21 is equal to C cube upon 8 pi H nu cube into mu cube, you find that the C cube is the denominator, 8 pi H into mu cube is in the numerator, and this ratio gives you C cube in the numerator as well as 8 pi H mu cube in the denominator. So everything cancels except this, and therefore I'll get a very simple relationship, and that is what I will get. R1 is equal to simply 1 upon, this is e raised to h nu upon kt minus 1, and this is what my relation number 6 that tells me something very interesting. So that is how in a normal case, when we have this type of three processes, the ratio of this stimulated emission to transitions to the spontaneous transition, this ratio is found to be R1 is equal to 1 upon e raised to h nu upon kt minus 1. Okay. Now, this expression tells you very important thing, because at ordinary radiations, that means when we have a very simple temperature as well as these optical radiations, what happens to this ratio when we go for different values of the, out of that h is constant, k is constant, t maybe we can take this room temperature or normal temperature. Now when the frequencies are in the optical range, this R1 is found to be very small, and therefore this laser action, and when this ratio is very small, the laser action is not possible. So this R1 should be as large as possible to have these conditions created for this large number of stimulated emission conditions to be created. If this ratio is smaller, then large number of stimulated emission will not be possible, and hence laser action, large number or this laser action may not be possible. And that's how we can understand this with following examples. If we assume, these are the numbers I am taking from book. If we assume some simple numbers here, let's take this frequency nu is equal to some 5 into 10 raised to 14 hertz. Now this is what a yellow light, typical yellow light in the optical spectrum. This is the yellow light in the optical spectrum. Let's take this temperature to be very large, that is almost 2000 degree Kelvin, very large temperature I am taking. For example, temperature of this particular sodium vapor lamp, it is much less than that, but still I can have it, I can take this temperature to be this, and therefore in this case, if I go for this calculation of, in this case, h nu upon k into t, Boltzmann constant, Planck's constant, this frequency and capital T, if all these things are used, this calculation comes to be simply 11.99 or approximately 12. So this calculation gives you this value, e raised to h nu, sorry, out of this index h nu upon kt comes, you can calculate this, this comes almost equal to around 12, and therefore R1, if it is obtained in this case, it is 1 upon e raised to 11.99 minus 1. Now see this exponential e raised to 11.99 in the denominator, this is going to be very large number, minus 1, this number 1 is very small as compared to this, and if it is calculated, approximately it comes to be e raised to minus 11.99, and this number, if it is calculated, actually it comes to be 6 into 10 raised to minus 6. This is very small. This ratio of this stimulated emission as well as the spontaneous emission is found to be very small, and therefore laser action is usually not possible for such type of optical radiations or the visible radiations in the form when it is yellow or that type of radiations are there. And that is how this result shows that in the optical region, spontaneous emission dominate over the stimulated radiation. So we'll write this result here. That will help us in understanding why this particular process is not possible there. That is all. That implies this result in this R1 having this much value implies that in the optical region, I'm writing explicitly this, in the optical region, because there may be some MCQs for these type of facts in examination, so we should write all these things. Optical region, this spontaneous, this number is small, means this spontaneous emissions dominate, emissions dominate or predominant or more dominate over the stimulated emission, over the stimulated emission. And because of that, as I already said, this large laser action or the conditions required for large number of radiations or large stimulated emission condition is not satisfied or not fulfilled, and therefore the laser action is not possible. Laser action is not possible. So laser action is not possible. That is one very important and interesting thing one has to learn when one goes for this type of derivation, as we have seen from this Einstein's equation and the Einstein's coefficients. Okay, so this equation suggests, that means this entire fact suggests that the light field density, either rho nu should be present within the material, is required to be enhanced if we want large number of stimulated emission. That means if this is normally happening at very small number of radiations, that means in the external radiations are there, this the photon field we are using, if it is a weaker field, this type of laser action is not possible, and therefore sometimes I can increase this rho nu, and thereby this number can be increased of the stimulated emission, and then stimulated emission may be made dominant. That is what the requirement of this. So this suggests that the light field density, so this is the last statement here, this suggests that the light field density that is rho nu, which is we have taken from this black body radiation present within the material, is required to be enhanced, or to be increased, is required to be enhanced if we want large number of stimulated emission. If we want large number of stimulated emission, and that's what, rather than absorbing these radiations, if these radiations are used for stimulated emission, so some of the radiations are to be used to increase the population of N2, that is called as inverse population or population inversion. And once this population inversion is reached, then using this type of external radiations, large field density, it is possible to go down all the atoms, excited atoms, into de-excited states, producing a pulse of such type of laser. This is what a laser action. So large number of stimulated emissions. Okay, this is what the condition here, and that's what we will go for the second step. First derivation we have seen A, where this type of optical radiations have been seen and their problem has been seen. Now let's go for this next one. That is what we are discussing now. This second case, that is said to be the ratio. Second, the ratio of stimulated transition to absorption transition. Second derivation, the ratio of stimulated transition to absorption transition. Again, we have to use this equation number 1, 2 and 3, whatever already we have written. So now this ratio is given to be R2. Earlier was R1. R1 was ratio of stimulated emission to spontaneous emission. Now this is stimulated transition to absorption transition or absorption. And therefore, if this ratio is obtained by the almost earlier equations, I can write this as B21 into rho nu. This is your stimulated transition, multiplied by N2, divided by, in case of absorption, we have obtained this relation as B12 times rho nu multiplied by, this is simply N1, not N2. This is absorption. So this is N1, and you'll find that here everything is cancelled, and this B21 and B12 is same usually. this n2 upon n1 are not same. This rho nu here, that everything cancels, and I get this R2 is simply equal to n2 upon n1. Okay, so this ratio of stimulated transition to absorption transition is directly equal to ratio of the number of atoms found in the excited state and number of atoms found in the ground state or the de-excited state. So that is one very fundamental equation, that R2, that tells you the ratio of these two numbers or these two type of transitions is simply n2 upon n1. Okay, and we have already seen in the chapter 1, at thermodynamic equilibrium, this is what a condition we have already seen. This n2 upon n1 is much less than 1, because lot many number of atoms try to remain inside in the ground state, not there. They don't want to live in the excited states, or whatever they, some of them have gone by some means, they have reached to this excited state, immediately they try to come to the ground state. This is the natural tendency, and that's what is a thermodynamic equilibrium. This is the situation. N2 is always much smaller than as compared to N1. Therefore, this number N2 upon N1 is much smaller than 1, and that is how R2 is much smaller, less than 1, as shown by this equation. Therefore, at the equilibrium, absorption transition overwhelm the stimulated transitions. So here, absorption transitions, in such a cases, absorption transitions overwhelm. The spelling is OVER WHELM, overwhelm the stimulated transitions. This overwhelm the stimulated transitions. That means at this type of situation. A minute. Okay. So there was one student. Now, this is what the condition we have to discuss as follows. So, a photon of the light field may hit the excited atom, leading to stimulated emission, or it may be absorbed on hitting the atom in the ground state. And as N2 is much less than N1, at thermodynamic equilibrium, a photon has much higher probability of being absorbed than the stimulating an excited atom. So there are two reactions or two actions, as I said earlier. Absorption is dominant, means whatever number of photons available there, because of this condition N2 is much less than N1 at thermodynamic equilibrium, there is a more chance of absorption of photon, a more probability of absorption of photon, rather than hitting this photon, whatever photon available, hitting the excited atom. Okay, more probability of absorption of photon than probability of hitting excited atom. That means whenever it hits an excited atom, that will produce spontaneous the stimulated emission. But if it is absorbed rather than, because N2 is much smaller than N1, most of the atoms are found in the ground state. So whatever photons we are having, these photons will be absorbed rather than producing the stimulated emission, and that chance of absorption is much more than the stimulated type of emission. Okay, so as a result, the absorption process dominates the stimulated emission, and the medium will absorb the incident light. Okay, and as a result, this consequence of this is medium will absorb the medium will absorb the incident light. medium will absorb this incident light. Rather than producing stimulated emission, most of the light will be absorbed by this material medium, and the atoms from in the state N1 or energy state E1, most of that will try to reach to the state A, that is equal to in N2. Okay, so on the other hand, more atoms in the excite if, okay, this is one case, and second is if on the other hand, if more atoms are in the excited states, more atoms are in the excited state. Actually, this is the point here. We have to make them more and more number. We have to make them in this excited state, but this is not that easy. For that, we require another concept that is called as metastable state. Usually, in this excited state, most of the atoms do not remain for a longer time. We have to compel them to spend much and more time there. At a time, large number of atoms will be found in the some excited states, and when external radiation comes in, all these atoms, large number of atoms are allowed or compelled to go into the ground state, thereby producing a large pulse of this type of laser beam. So this action is to be carried out, and that's what we are writing here. If on the other hand, if the more number of atoms are in the excited state, that is we are achieving this condition, N2 is greater than N1. N2 is greater than N1, then photons are more likely likely to cause stimulated emission. That is what we needed. And for that, as I said earlier, we have to have a mechanism that will help us making N2 more than N1, and that is called as population inversion. So you have to make N2 much more larger as compared to N1. So most of the atoms are remaining in the excited state, and whenever a small trigger comes, because of that large many number of atoms, this is a cascading process. Cascading means first one single photon comes, that causes emission of 2 photons, then these 2 photons can be used for the emission of next 2 atoms, the de-excitation of next 2 atoms, again it will give you 4. So 2, 4, 8, 16, 20 like this, and 16, 32, etc. In a very small fraction of time, large number of such type of radiations will be emitted, and that is what causes a laser action. So to have this laser action, we have to create a condition where N2 is made much larger as compared to N1. Okay, so photons are more likely to cause stimulated emission than absorption. Okay, and therefore we write a conclusion here, important conclusion there. This conclusion is as important here, that must be understood while considering this laser action. Therefore, this is the outcome of this entire derivation. Therefore, in order to achieve more stimulated emission, the population N2 is to be made larger, than population N1. Okay, and this particular phenomenon is called as population inversion. Okay, remember this. There can be at least 2, 3, 4 questions, MCQ question over this concept, which is called as population inversion. Okay, most of the atoms in the ground state, they are to be raised to the excited state somehow, mechanically or electronically or using some electrical energy, do something and make most of the atoms in the either they will be populated in the second state or excited state, and this concept is called as this population inversion. So all these 3 processes, as I said earlier, we can sum up in the following way. This is what actually it is an extension of chapter number 1, but we have taken this to be chapter 2. So we have to go for another important result. So these three conditions. So to sum up all these things, whatever we have looked up till now, these three process, three conditions are to be satisfied. Following three conditions are to be satisfied. Three conditions are to be satisfied. What is sir? 10 minutes. Are to be satisfied. Now see what are these conditions to be satisfied: to make stimulated emission overwhelm other transitions. So three conditions are to be satisfied to make stimulated emission. These are three: absorption, spontaneous absorption, then this spontaneous emission, and this stimulated emission. So here this stimulated emissions are to dominate over both of these. To achieve this condition, following three conditions are to be important. Number one, that is first one, the population of excited level should be greater than that at the lower energy level. Okay, we'll write in words: the population at excited level should be greater than the lower energy level or ground level population. This is called as a requirement for the large laser action. So laser action in a bunch, single one or two atom that is giving laser, that is not useful. Billions or whatever, that's a very large number of atoms, they are to be excited and de-excited simultaneously, and thereby we can produce such type of the stimulated emissions and all that case. Then second important condition we should write here: the ratio B21 upon this A21. Okay, these are the Einstein coefficients, should be large. This is another condition, should be large. If this ratio is large, again this ratio R1 or R1 we have seen, this becomes larger. If R1 is larger, we are creating conditions for large number of we are creating condition for large stimulated emissions. If this R1 is made larger, that's why this ratio of B21 upon BA21, if it is made larger, or if we have this type of field which is giving more and more number of stimulated emission, then this type of conditions will be created. That is second. And the last one, and third one, and last one, that is a very high density of radiation should be present. A very high density of radiation should be present in the material, should present in the medium. So these three conditions are satisfied. If these simultaneously, it is not to be one condition is satisfied and two are not, then you will not get a good laser action. To have a large laser action and to get a good number of laser radiations emitted, we require to maintain these three things as shown there. So material medium, you have to choose a particular material medium which will have, again we have to go for a large number of, and for that now you'll further see that how to create this large number of large radiation density of this photon radiations in the present in the material. Then how to make this ratio B2 upon E21 larger, as well as how to make this population, so that for that action pumping is required. So in the next few lectures we are going to see further actions. So what are the things needed to carry out this type of laser actions? That will be based upon this type of summary what we have written here. Okay, so that is how this is the conditions, and therefore a medium amplifies light only when these three conditions are fulfilled. Okay, so last statement: the medium amplifies. This is called as amplification action. Light only when all three conditions, these three conditions are fulfilled. These three conditions are fulfilled. Okay, so let me summarize what we have discussed in today's session. to create such type of condition for large number of photons emitted simultaneously, or making this particular stimulated emission more and more dominant, we needed to do all these things. So that is how we started with the previous chapters discussions, how we have discussed these are the three different types of Einstein's relations. These ratios are ABS, RSP, RST. Then this relation, that is relation between all these three Einstein's coefficients. This equation number 4, we have seen all these conditions. Ordinarily at room temperature, this N2 is found to be much less than N1, and these are the three conditions we have to see, therefore ratios. So R1 is the ratio of stimulated emission to spontaneous emission, that is found to be of this number, that is given by equation number 5, and this number at normal temperature at optical radiations for the given type of frequencies and this type of temperatures, this particular ratio is found to be very small. That is not a suitable condition for this type of emission of this laser radiations. Then second coefficient constant also we have calculated, that is ratio of the stimulated transition to absorption transition. In this case also we got this ratio is directly equal to N2 upon N1, and as already we know that at room temperature or at normal conditions at the thermodynamic equilibrium, this N2 upon N1 is much smaller than N1. So R2 is also very small. That is again not a required condition. We have to make this N2 as much as larger as compared to N1. That's what we have to inverse the population, or that is what called as population inversion. So what happens to, what are the different probabilities of absorption, stimulated emission, spontaneous emission, that can be discussed here. And therefore, as I said here, to sum up all these conditions, to create conditions for large number of stimulated emissions, we are needed to do these three facts. Stimulated emissions are to be dominant over absorption and spontaneous emission. But remember, without absorptions we cannot go into the stimulated radiation. So let's have absorption first. Raise the number of atoms from ground state to excited state, let them remain there for a longer time, so that population inversion condition will be reached. And once that condition is reached, now have a small trigger, external trigger, which will compel all these excited atoms to come down to the ground state, and a large pulse or large number of photons of same frequency in the same direction, all same in phase, that will be emitted and a laser action will be created. So that is how to happen such type of laser action, we need all these type of processes happen to be at the same time, and that's why this small derivation is important one. So this is what a condition required for large number of radiations to be emitted by the stimulated emission. In the next lecture, in tomorrow's lecture, we will go for conditions for light amplification, how to carry out light amplification. For that, what are the different types of physical conditions required, that we will see in tomorrow's lecture. So till then we will take a break. Thank you for me joining in this lecture. Let me stop this, I have to take attendance. Thank you.